This used to be the president slash dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. He was captured by U.S. forces in the early morning raid in Caracas on January 3rd. You might be asking yourself the question, why exactly did the U.S. kidnap Maduro? Well, obviously, it's because of drug trafficking.
Keep it. We're keeping
Where's it? Are we going to sell it or put it in the strategic?
Maybe we'll sell it. Maybe we'll keep it. Maybe we'll use it in the strategic reserves. We're keeping it. We're keeping the ships.
The United States, some will go to Venezuela, and some will go to the oil companies, but not that because that's already been extracted. So when you're not getting any of that, but when you start extracting, you'll get. But it's tremendous reserves, among the biggest in the world. Some people say it is the biggest in the world.
As you can see, the overthrow of Maduro wasn't because of drug trafficking. Now, I'm not defending Maduro, but you risk destabilizing the region. US has a long history of intervening in Latin America, often backing anti-leftist or pro-US governments and military forces. Over the years, Washington supported right-wing or US-friendly factions in Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Guatemala, Haiti, Nicaragua, Panama, and most recently in the efforts to remove Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. The Trump administration has claimed the boats were carrying drugs into the US. Keep in mind, the Trump administration has shown no evidence that the boats were carrying drugs. Under both US and international law, it is flagrantly illegal to use the military to kill civilians suspected only of crimes. Even if they were smuggling drugs, US officials cannot kill people they accuse of smuggling drugs because narcotics entering the states is not an armed conflict. The Washington Post reported that two anonymous sources said the US Secretary of Defense gave a verbal order to SEAL Team 6 to leave no survivors. In the 2024 campaign trail, Gen Z believed Trump when he said, "I'm not going to start a war, I'm going to stop the wars," and that he would keep our country out of endless wars. I mean, who really believed Trump when he said he was anti-war? During his first administration, drone strikes increased more than 400%. 2,000 strikes were carried out in the first year, more than all 8 years of Obama's administration. US forces remained in Iraq and Afghanistan. It was President Biden who executed the final evacuation. With the cost of living and inflation rising, Gen Z did not care about foreign policy. 64% of Gen Z said it would be best if the US stayed out of foreign countries' affairs. Even the June 22nd strike against Iran's nuclear sites by Israel, by the US, were heavily opposed by Gen Z. They were polls done by Ipsos, which showed 45% of Gen Z opposed the US airstrikes in Iran. 25% support the airstrikes. The airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities did not destroy Iran's nuclear program or its underlying capabilities. This will only encourage Iran to seek a nuclear weapon as a means of deterrence against further military pressure. Look at North Korea, for example. North Korea's nuclear program is built to ensure the regime's survival by making any US attempt at invasion, regime change, or a major conventional strike risk escalating into a nuclear conflict. Over decades, it has produced missiles that can carry nuclear warheads across the region and potentially further. US leaders must assume North Korea could retaliate and cause catastrophic damage. North Korea reinforces this by showcasing tests and missiles to signal capability and willingness. Nukes give Pyongyang leverage by shifting a crisis from "can the US win?" to "is the risk of escalation and mass casualties worth it?" Anyway, back to Venezuela. On October 18, Trump posted on Truth Social about a vessel loaded up with mostly fentanyl. This is a rare omission to what is really going on because the State Department 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy said in consultation with the DEA and other agencies has identified Mexico as the only significant source of illicit fentanyl. So here's how the operation went. Operation Absolute Resolve, part of a larger campaign, Operation Southern Spear, involved over 200 U.S. Special Forces, supported by around 150 aircraft, F-35s, F-22s, bombers, sources say. Their strikes done on communication infrastructure in El Volcan, as well as air defenses in Castilla la Mar and Fort Guayquipuro. Not all military facilities were hit. According to analysis of available imagery, none of the buildings in La Carlota Air Base, part of Venezuela's Air Force infrastructure, were directly struck, suggesting a limited targeting approach rather than broad destruction. This narrow focus may reflect an effort to limit casualties and signal specific objectives to Venezuelan forces, rather than a full attempt to dismantle the country's military command structure. Special forces had been meticulously planning and rehearsing for the capture of Maduro for months. They even created an exact replica of Maduro's safe house. Around 80 Venezuelan and Cuban nationals were killed, and 7 U.S. servicemen were injured. The U.S. were the aggressors. Venezuela was not planning to attack the U.S. The U.S. now leaves Venezuela in a deep-rooted political conflict. Especially with their economic situation, sanctions have further hurt ordinary Venezuelans, contributing to severe food shortages.